So the Nintendo Switch came out and kind of set the world on fire with its hybrid nature where you could take a handheld and attach it to the TV and it'll show up on the TV and you can remove it, take it with you. But what if I told you that the Switch wasn't the first gaming console hybrid that was a consumer-based product? And what if I told you that the Switch was actually over 4 years late to the party? Now, the system I'm talking about is the one right in front of me. It's the Neo Geo X. In fact, they had a Neo Geo X Gold limited edition run that came out in December of 2012. It actually was rumored to come out like a while ago. In January 2012, rumors started to circulate that SNK had reached an agreement with Tomo. Tomo was going to produce the item, SNK was going to license the name, games, everything so that it could kind of have a name that was more known to people, especially the fighting game enthusiasts that enjoyed the Neo Geo AES but didn't enjoy the price of the games. So later that year in 2012, they come out with Neo Geo X, and it was a fully hybrid system. It was very interesting. You could actually take this handheld, attach it to this system, and it would work fine. But is this system really that good? And honestly, at this point, will it make you appreciate the way your Switch works more? I think so, and let's take a look why. So first, let's look at the system itself. This is when it's plugged into the dock here, and you can see this dock itself looks like a Neo Geo AES. If you don't know what that is, it was an older system that took very large JAMA carts. You see that cartridge slot there is actually about the size of what a JAMA card slot would be when you popped it in. They came in these very large, very large cartridges, and they were very expensive. Even now, a typical game goes from anywhere to $100 all the way up to $400 to $500, depending on the rarity and really how much everyone wants it. Now we can kind of look around here. On the front, there's 2 USB ports, an open slot, and then a power on and off switch. On the back, it's pretty straightforward as well. A DC in, AV out, and then HDMI. So you can either pick HDMI, which by the way is an HDMI mini port, or you can do just AV if you'd like. The DC in is a very small DC power plug. It's nothing super powerful. And then you'll notice on the top there's even like a menu button. That's because if you pop this open, yes guys, that is a hybrid system. That's where the handheld plugs in. The entire system is on that handheld. Speaking of the handheld, let's take a quick look at it. On the front, it comes with 4 buttons, A, B, C, and D. And then of course to the left, you'll see a joystick that looks very similar to the Neo Geo Pocket Color. That's because it's mostly the same stick, except it's a little wider for your thumb. And what's nice is it is an 8-way, very nice sounding click. In fact, if you listen to it here, it has that nice clicking feel and look. Of course, you have menu and start buttons on the front, dual speakers facing forward. On the top, you have L1, L2, R1, R2. You have mini USB, of course, for charging, mini HDMI, and then AV out as well, which tells me that this here was mostly designed as a pass-through for that dock, since from what I can tell, it does not come with any AV out cables. On the bottom, you have volume down and up, both tactile clicks, very nice. Headphone jacks to the right, and then of course brightness up and down. On the right side, you have your power on and off, and then you have a slot for game cards because they did release extra games after this system came out, and overall that's about the extent of the system. On the front, we do have the screen that is the same resolution as the PSP. It is also a 4.3-inch screen, but the resolution comes in at 480 by 272. And I told you this system will probably make you appreciate your Switch more, especially the ease of use, and this becomes very obvious when you want to go from handheld mode to TV mode, because there's a lot of stuff that has to happen here. One, you have to turn the system completely off. You cannot plug it in while it's on for it to then show up on the TV. It needs to be completely off, and then you plug it in, and the way you plug it in is a little unnerving. You see, there's 3 different points that have to all line up. You have, of course, your mini HDMI, your mini USB, and then your headphone jack, which is the large spike coming off the top there, which is, of course, for AV out. And you plug that in very carefully. It doesn't feel good because, of course, you have to line up the mini HDMI and the mini USB, and those have a very weird kind of grinding push, of course, when you plug it in, and you don't want to push too far, you could do damage. So you kind of push it until it's snug, and then everything works fine. But again, it goes to show how well done Nintendo did the Switch compared to what was really a couple years ago. This is how you had to do it. Real quick though, let's talk about the games that are on there. It does include 20 preloaded Neo Geo games, and of course you can buy cartridges for extra ones. Right off the bat though, you have your games like Fatal Fury, Alpha 2, Art of Fighting, Metal Slug of course, King of Fighters 95, King of Monsters, Baseball Stars. These are all games that are on there. It also has one of my favorite games in Samurai Showdown 2, and really you just kind of log into the menu menu here. You just kind of hit menu, you go through, pick your game, and then of course you hit the credits and stuff. You can put credits in. You continue to play through them. And really, it's not bad. It only puts out a picture, from what I could get it to do, of 480p through that mini HDMI, mostly because the screen itself is of course 480 by 272, and it's kind of outputting there. But really, I mean, the Neo Geo games were mostly in a 480p design, so I can kind of understand why they went that way. It does kind of stretch it so it is widescreen, so it does look a little odd, but it at least works. And really, this is probably the cheapest way you're going to play Neo Geo games, other than building an emulation station and kind of getting ROMs online, which technically is illegal at that point. This is at least a legal way to get the games. Now, I went ahead and opened it up as well to see what was going on in either, and I was a little disappointed with both. So I opened the dock first to take a look, and to my surprise, everything used Phillips head screws, which is great because, as you guys see on this channel, I'm so used to everything but Phillips head screws being in any of these. So I was very happy to only have to use one screwdriver. Anyway, I opened the dock, and it's pretty evident right away that all it is just a pass-through. There's not much to it. Now, they did wire up USBs to the mini USB at the top there. You can see between the two, that board then runs to those. And then you have the menu button that also kicks over to the menu, which is pretty much, from what I can tell, wired in to just hit the menu button on the device when it's in dock mode. And really, I shouldn't have expected much more. It literally is, guys, just an HDMI pass-through. After that, I went ahead and opened up the handheld device itself to check things out. And there wasn't much there either. I was a little surprised here too. Now again, all Phillips head screws all the way around the outside, just using a smaller Phillips head screwdriver. I was able to get in there, but there wasn't much there either. In fact, when I opened it up, everything is soldered, nothing is module at all. Everything is, including the battery, the D-pad, the button boards, the screen, everything is soldered to this system. And that's a little bit of a downer as well, because it shows they opted to save money all the way around on this thing. Even if you look at the dock, the handheld, internally, it's all there to save money. And really, for what they released it as, money-wise, it's not unexpected to see this. And that kind of leads us into the price. This system is $200 when it came out at retail. You can still find these on eBay, but it is interesting to note that it is discontinued. There was an issue between SNK licensing and Tomo. SNK wanted to pretty much cut the contract out. Tomo wanted to keep doing it, so they kept producing them without SNK's consent. It's a very weird situation where the licensing party did not want to do it, but the people making the system still wanted to. It's very odd. Either way, there are still some out there in the wild, so if you're a fan of the Neo Geo classics, it might be worth getting this, because the one great thing about this system is the controller. Yeah, in fact, take a look at this controller. This is what comes with the system. It's the Neo Geo arcade stick. You get an arcade stick with this system. You can also buy extra ones, but it's awesome. It is a very, very nice stick. It gives you that same feel of the AES, and it's a full 8-way joystick. All the buttons on the side press nicely and gives that nice click. And it works well. I didn't try hooking up to my computer, but it does run USB. I bet you it would work through a computer as well. But yes, it makes these games feel just like they did on the Neo Geo AES, and that is an awesome thing. So really the question here is it worth getting? If you're a Neo Geo fan, maybe. But again, you can technically build your own MAME machine for cheaper than this by getting like a Raspberry Pi and kind of going the illegal route. But if you want to go a way that at least it was intended to be, where you get something that was licensed by SNK originally, they approved all these games on there, you're not buying it from like a third-party pirate or something, or just downloading them from a website, this would be the way to go. Really, it does put out 480p and it stretches it, but it works fine. It's not like it's like the end of the world with that. But really, checking this system out has made me appreciate my Nintendo Switch more, because what Nintendo has done with that system to make it way more accessible for hybrid use is impressive, considering this was about 4 years ago. This is how they had to do it. This is all they could figure out. And now we're to a point where the technology has come far enough with NVIDIA and Nintendo, of course, using it to do this through USB-C. And it's very impressive. And keep in mind, this is $200, the Switch is $300. So really, that $100 difference, I think, goes a long way going to the Switch. And that's the really interesting thing, because keep in mind, guys, Neo Geo games are now going to the Switch. So that's almost becoming a successor to this system. The last thing really the Switch needs at this point, guys, it needs a joystick. And I know Ori was talking about it, we still have not seen it, but the minute the Switch gets a joystick like this one here for the Neo Geo X, that's it. The Switch would become essentially a Neo Geo X as long as it gets more games. I do think if Neo Geo games continue to show up on the Switch, that will eventually be the way to go. Yeah, guys, hope you like this look at the Neo Geo X. It was an interesting system when it came out. It's still interesting now, mostly because now we can kind of compare and contrast the hybrid nature to the Switch. A few pieces of advice I would have given SNK and Tomo about this. To do the hybrid nature, I would have maybe used the cartridge slot on the top here instead of having to open the system to slide the device in. I would have made it so that's just an actual place where you just dock the system in. I know then you'd have like a spike and all kinds of ports coming out of there technically, but you could use that dust cover kind of in a way to protect that. And you kind of have to rely on the people to figure it out when they go to push it in, and push it in upside down, it could break it. But that would have been a great way, I think, to handle it, and maybe put a little more into the handheld, maybe charge 250 and get these things to like 720p. That's more of a widescreen format rather than trying to stretch a 480p image. That's it for now. If you enjoy a video, go ahead and hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed if you're not already, because we'll be doing more of these looks at these different systems and of course more tech waves going forward. That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.